Hello everyone and welcome to Ironcast number 3. I am your host, Ryan O'Rourke. And today we have another stellar Colombian coffee. This is a microlot from the Tolima region, the Tolima department of Colombia. We'll get into all that in just a moment about the details, numbers, things like that. But one thing we're going to do that's special today is we're going to take you into our weekly public coffee tasting as we taste this alongside of another Colombian coffee. And just give you a sense of what that's like. And if you live in the Richmond area or happen to be visiting any Wednesday, these happen every single Wednesday afternoon, 3 p.m. here at our cafe at 1805 East Gray Street. Now, the details about the Alto de la Cruz. It is a fully washed coffee, so a wash process, grown at an elevation of approximately 1,550 meters above sea level. So kind of a moderate range in terms of elevation. This coffee is grown on the Alto de la Cruz farm, which is the homestead of the Clavijo family. I'll have more to say about a woman named Nelcy Clavijo here in just a moment. But first, varietals, as we typically do. The varietals, the types of Arabica, if you're not familiar with that term, the different types of Arabica beans that are in this. We have Caturra and the Colombia varietal as well. Now, let's get a little bit more into the meat of the coffee. In terms of the region where this is grown, this is from the Getania subregion of the Tolima department. And if you're not familiar with the geography and how Colombia is broken up, it has 32 different departments. We would be sort of probably apt to call them states or counties, but there's 32 of these departments. This particular coffee is grown in the Tolima department in the Getania subdivision of that Tolima department. Now the farm itself, again, is woman-led farm, which is kind of an interesting point. It is owned and operated by Nelcy Clavijo, as well as a woman named Negrita. I don't know as much about Negrita, but Nelcy Clavijo has done a marvelous job of bringing this farm along and growing absolutely beautiful coffee from it. In our opinion, probably what makes this such a beautiful coffee in terms of agronomics and the science of growing coffee, it's grown in rich volcanic soil because this farm sits at the base of the Nevada de Huila volcano. So this volcanic soil just gives it character, the terroir of the coffee. You can just taste the character coming through, sweetness, acidity. We taste primarily floral notes, just really delicate, beautiful floral notes, as well as fruits, and it's specifically tropical fruits, maybe a little bit of grapefruit in there as well. But we're going to be talking about all that at the tasting here. So why don't you come with us to the bar and join us for this tasting. You can see what that's all about. All right, give it a sniff too, you know, while you got it in your cup. And this is, keep them straight, guys. This is the barbecue sauce. This is the De La Cruz. This is a softer acidity. You're right about that. Well, you say you're right. Like, that's the same thing I get from it. Some people, you know, as I said, like, so subjective, but generally speaking, Colombian coffees are going to have a softer acidity than African coffees, Kenya's, Burundi, Ethiopia, etc. All right, we'll do the De La Cruz first this time. Same coffees, just brewed in the ground control over ice, like flash chilled. And you can either, you know, taste it now or just wait till the old Rio Cofre comes out, whatever floats your boat. And it's interesting because, you know, I mean, like, this is sort of a unique brew method. You should get some different things, even though they're the same coffee. Wait, I'm pouring the same one. Okay, and now the Rio Cofre, keep them straight. Rio Cofre.
It's strange that De La Cruz, when I drink the cold, it separates. Like, it goes across the top of my mouth, the heavier part.
Huh.
It's like a lighter.
Interesting. Yeah, man, funky stuff happens when you do different stuff to the coffee. Same coffee. And this is, you know, again, from the ground control, and it uses, like we were saying, the drawdown, the 60-40 method or whatever it's called, but the drawdown method of the pour over. It's mimicked in this thing. You know, most batch brewers, it's just, you know, dripping over, you know, continuously. This does the 3 cycles that gets the different components out of each coffee. One cycles for the body, 1 cycles for the sweetness, 1 cycles for the acidity. All right. Let's hear your thoughts.
Real coffee tastes so much sharper and sweeter.
Sharper and sweeter, okay.
Compared to
Okay, so comparing the pour over to comparing it to itself. So sharper and sweeter as a cold coffee than it was as hot.
yeah. So I'm good.
I feel like I still like the De La Cruz more, and I'm more aware of liking it more when they're both cold. Like I feel like I can taste the quality more. I don't know what. Like when I tasted that, I was like, man, it's just like I said, it's a good cup of coffee. And then
The De La Cruz?
yeah. Then I went to the other one. It's still good, but it doesn't exactly have the same. Like it's not light, but like the initial
Complexity.
Yeah.
Yeah, the complexity of it. Yeah, the layers of flavor. Yep. Yep. And yeah, I mean that's and what's interesting though here is, I mean it's not a huge difference. The altitude, the elevation they're grown at, 1750, which is moderately high, 1550, which is kind of moderate, right in the middle in terms of elevation of coffee growing. And yet, you know, 200 meters, that's not nothing, but it's not a huge discrepancy. But you know, this coffee has complexity that you would maybe more often find in a coffee that was around 2,000 meters plus. Because again, generally speaking, higher grown coffees are going to have a sweeter, more complex flavor profile. Generally speaking, not always true. Generally speaking, so the lower elevation coffee is noticeably sweeter and more complex, which happens, you know. And again, though, this is grown at the base of the something de Huila. What was the name of the Nevado La Huila volcano. So you're talking about volcanic soil here. I do not believe this is volcanic soil, to the best of my recollection. This is volcanic soil. And what that does, like a lot of Guatemalan coffees we have in here, just adds a whole other layer of interesting notes to the coffee because of that volcanic soil. You know, the Antigua region, which is where most of our Guatemalan coffee comes from, noted for its quality and its flavor because of those volcanoes around there. Agua, Fuego, and Acatenango, those 3 volcanoes right there in Antigua. So what are we thinking? Cold. Is the consensus unanimous favorite still De La Cruz, even with the cold?
I like that one.
I found that the supplementary between the two wasn't quite as extreme.
So more a little closer in.
A little more tart with that one, but mostly, I don't know, I feel like muted.
Yep. And this machine will mute a little bit, at least a little bit, in some cases more than a little bit, some of those high notes, some of those acidic notes, as compared to a pour over. It's just going to. Nothing like a pour over that I know of to bring out those really complex high notes. You know, so you're just going to get it in the pour over. This is still going to get a lot more of the complexity than like a typical batch brewer, like Fetco or Bun or whatever that you see in most places, which do a fine job. But this, because of the nature of it, the way it brews, those cycles, it's going to pull out more of what's in the coffee. It's just not as much as, you know, but this takes you 10 minutes when you're all said and done for 1 cup of coffee. So, you know, a little bit of a trade-off.